Alright. Namaste. Sashi Delik to people. Hope you all are well. I am not really so great. I think I'm coming down with a cold. Um, so I don't really know how long this video will be, but I will probably make it pretty long. So right now I am about maybe 50% okay. I've had something to eat, I've had something to drink, I've gotten a little bit of rest, but I figured doing a video would not hurt so much. So, for today's video, let's dive into, I want to say, more about consciousness. So, when talking about consciousness, it's mainly being aware. And when you are aware of things, you can see past false, things put out. Or you can see past, people's, what people's expectations of reality is, you know. Because when you have the insight and the mindset of realization to see past people who lie, who, you know, play the card of the one being hurt, or when you have, you know, so much going on around you, you have a lot going on, and sometimes it feels like it's too much, or when it's too much, you never really know, or, most times people just, they disappear, you know. I know because I disappeared, for about, say, at least 2 years and a half, you know, I disappeared. And I disappeared because it was the right thing for me. And, I am much better because of that, you know. But I don't have to proclaim and brag about it, you know. I did what was best for me, given the situation I was in, and that's that, you know. But consciously, I knew I was fine, you know. I think subconsciously I just had a lot of doubt, a lot of just burnt out, you know, feelings going on, and, I disappeared and I stayed away from social media, and, I had to take care of myself mentally, emotionally, you know. Spiritually, I was fine. Nothing was breaking me then, but mentally, emotionally, I was not myself, you know. I just wasn't. And, after a while, I told myself I have to, consciously, I told myself I have to, you know, get out of this, you know. And I want to say for the most part, it's mainly, when you have to do that type of stuff, it mainly involves having willpower. Friends are fine, partners are fine, and, lovers and all that stuff is fine. But that's not going to help you with your situation, whatever that situation is. Everybody has a different situation, but ultimately, the process begins with yourself. Friends can talk, your partner, lover, whatever can talk, but they are not, you know, professionals when it comes to that. They're not, you know, and as much as people like to think we know this, we know that, when it comes to people, you don't. Ultimately, you don't know, you know, and it's not because you don't know, it's because subconsciously you're not aware, you're not. And, so many people have this misunderstanding when you are doing stuff for people, that, oh, suddenly because you disappear or you take time for yourself, because, you know, you yourself have, a mental capacity, you know, and at some point you have to say to yourself, oh, I know I'm supposed to be helping this person and I'm there, but you have to say to yourself at a point, what about me? You know, that goes back to what I've said previously about having a clouded mind, clouded judgment, you know, especially when it involves helping people. You cannot help people if your mind is clouded. Anybody who says they've helped people while their mind has been clouded has been lying, because you cannot help people when your mind is clouded unless you have the mindset of realization, you know, where you throw in truth into a matter, instead of just going along with things. You have to process things, you know. When people want help, yes, help them, but also remember to protect your mental well-being, your emotional well-being. That doesn't mean give up on people, you know. That's the other thing I think people nowadays, especially when it comes to, with technology, people have this thing of, oh, when you don't talk with people who are going through problems, you're abandoning them or you're leaving them or whatever. No, no. I think firstly that is totally wrong, because the person who is helping more so less than other people ask to help has their own mental capacity and their own limit to think. I mean, yes, everybody does, but when you're helping people and when you're deeply connected with people, you feel 3 times more than what the average person who is helping feels, because you and that person is connected way more than the person who's just starting out. You know, it's the honest truth. It's the honest truth. And nowadays people have this thing of like, you know, who knows, like, who can you trust, or some type of meme or whatever they people try and use, you know, which is not in the basis of reality. For myself as a person of philosophy, yeah, I use memes, but I use philosophical type memes, you know, or or quotes that I find offline, or pictures that I find offline that look like quote worthy type stuff, and I write my own. When I feel the need, I write my own. And I think also, you know, you have to look at things, you know, with a sense of reality. That's the thing that people don't want to do now. When things happen now, people are either just mad or they just pretend, subconsciously that, you know, what the person did doesn't matter. But consciously, they're grappling with it. Like, oh, this person was there, you know. And I think also, too, when you have so much going on, when you do what you do for people, you know, it's not a matter of caring to an extent or over caring or anything, you know. When you care about people, you just care. Sometimes, sure, you might care too deeply, but, you know, it still means you care regardless. And people nowadays, I think, to an extent, don't always realize that. They might realize it, probably when it's late. They might realize it probably somewhere down the line. But at the present moment, people don't want to come to that realization, you know. And they don't want to come to that realization because subconsciously they're afraid of, oh, you know, well, I, push that person away, you know, and I don't know if that person would forgive me. So I'm going to just, you know, move on subconsciously, but consciously still grapple with it. I think those are two fundamental differences, you should take time to look at. Because now it is more prevalent than ever that we have that going on. And yes, the typical response would be, well, you could just leave, forget them, not care anymore or anything. But I think that is a foolish type of way of looking at the picture. You didn't start something with somebody just to be forgotten subconsciously. I know for myself, I didn't start something with people to be forgotten or to, pretend where I am emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I didn't, decide to trust people easily. For me, it came over time. Trusting people now is fine, but, I'm also at a point too where, you know, you have to see things through a observatory type lens. Doesn't mean don't care. It doesn't mean any of that. It means watch from a distance and memorize. That's what it is. And I think also too, you still have to have love in your heart, you know? You still have to. It's not mandatory or forcing yourself to, but I think to better yourself emotionally, spiritually, mentally, you have to better yourself internally, you know, here, and here. You don't do that, no matter what you put out, no matter what you put out, if you don't do those two things first, it means nothing. That's the honest truth. But that's when you have a full sense of realization, not when you're in between realization and not knowing. When you fully have realization unlocked, then you will see things for how they are, what they are, you know, less so of who said this, they said this, people said this, all that. And once you also let go of anger towards the situation, that doesn't mean just forgetting it, wiping it under the rug, you know. When you let go of anger, hostilities, you know, resentment, all that type of stuff, then you actually can come to the point of realization and be like, you know what? It's not so bad, you know? And in the end, you still have your heart intact. You still have your mental state intact, your spiritual side intact, your emotional side intact, your mental side intact. You still have all of that intact. But you just have a greater sense of realization. And it's one of those things now that I try, no, not even try, I do every time I do step out into the outside, you know. Besides being sick, right now, I can still manage out there and I can see what's what, and whatnot, and I can keep my head up, you know, I can. And I don't really regret anything, listening to people's problems, being there when people needed them, you know, all that. I don't regret any of it, you know. I don't regret meeting people, you know, who had problems and working with people to get over their problems. I don't regret any of that because that's not the type of person that I am. Not even when I was going through my own issues. I didn't once not say, oh, I regret the whole thing because, that's just not me. And I know as a fact now, I'm much better off, you know, 2.5 years later than how I was 2.5 years ago. So I think with that personal experience and explaining it in a way that is genuine, I think, it will bring some sense of understanding more about myself to, you guys viewing and whatnot. So if that's the case, then that's awesome. I don't mind putting out videos like this and just talking. And yeah. So I will probably do another video afterwards. Yeah, probably. So, thank you for watching. Uh, so, sayonara and tashi dele, and peace and love.